Welcome back to Archean, episode 20 of season 1 playthrough. And here's a vehicle we've been working on for the last couple episodes. And just kind of taking a look at it again. I'm going to spend a little time here getting organized, a little construction, and I'm going to 5x this a little bit. Kind of clean up my inventory a little bit and toolbar, and we might as well head and strip this down. My first submarine all gone. Basically the stuff I think I need, I'm going to put in my backpack, and the stuff I think I'm done with, I'll put back in the container there. All right. So I decided to get rid of these computers, and I'm going to go with mini computers that I'll mount next to the chair there. And looking through what I got, and let's get the mini computers. We got 2 mini computers, that should be enough. So instead of putting a computer at the front of the vehicle, or multiple computers in front of the vehicle, I'm going to put a large dashboard in front with a whole bunch of switches underneath it. So I'm just sort of using the blocks to sort of plan out the area. So that would be the first row of blocks will be the switches in the future, and this will be the dashboard. And what I'll do is, once the dashboard is mounted, I can then go back and remove the blocks, and that allows it to be optionally transparent, which what I'll do. And I'll need a dashboard tool. And we'll need 2 more toggle switches. Those are just markers, so I know how big to make the dashboard itself. Well, that's a good size. And as we see, if we hold the shift key, which I'm doing, it will snap to the edge there. And you notice we're using the blocks, so we can just make it the right height, and right there. Now, I don't do it in this episode, but the next episode I will remove the blocks behind it. Once I have it, I need the computers hooked up and running so I can make it transparent. So until then. So then we're going to put a whole bunch of switches underneath here. I think this is a serious overkill on the switches, but I have the width, so I figured, why not? The other thing I plan to do is put labels. Use the dashboard tool to put labels above each switch. And since I'm using these are dashboard labels, I can actually change the text inside. Pretty sure I can change the text inside dynamically, and thus I can sort of have dynamic switches changing based on the mode. Although given the number of switches we have, that might not be required. So I'm pulling the flooring off to sort of gauge where things will go. I want the mini computers sort of right here. Basically, I want easy access to the mini computer from the seat, so I can display any data on the dashboard in front there. Going to use 2 mini computers so I can sort of not have everything in one big program there. And probably separate before, one for controlling the vessel and one for operating the ore scanner. I'm going to try to have them both right to the same screen. Plus, I can't use blank because that would blank the whole screen, so each side would have its own region. And I'll just do a fill rectangle. And some more mini routers everywhere. And I'm gonna go crazy with the wiring here, so I hope that all works out. And say we'll test it all before we put the top back on and make sure the wiring is good and I can control everything. So now obviously I'll put the floor back in once this is all set up. And we'll need power down here. And we're going to yank all this off for now. And let's make it consistent back here. Counting how many those are, there's 8 of them. And we'll zip through this real quick. So what I was thinking about here is what else to add before I start all the wiring. And I'm thinking maybe I can stick some lights in front of here before I do all the wiring. Like, have the top open. And I have the spotlights here, which are actually pretty expensive to make. And I'm thinking, well, maybe I can mount it right there on that wheel. And no, I can't unfortunately attach to that. And I thought, well, I could take off part of the bottom there and mount it there in the corner there, maybe on that corner, both corners of here, and mount them right on the ground there. And then I'm looking at it and going, well, I'm not in the mood to rip the front out. Or I can mount them up here on top so they're not, blocked, which might be a better thing to do. Side to side to defer that decision. And let's go through and label all these switches. So they're all going to be switch F1 through 16 for F for front. And we name this screen front in case I have additional screens mounted somewhere. And now some serious cabling here. Let's just speed this up a little bit. So, and I'm not sure if this is all going to work. We'll find out. So I have the computers. Each computer is connected to a mini router, and I have the mini routers cross-connected to each other. And then I have half the switches connected to one mini router, the other half of the switches to the other mini router. And then the actual screen is connected to one router, and then I have the volume chip connected to another one. and we'll just enable smooth control. I'll call this seat. And in this build, everything has a name, so I'm not going to use numeric ports at all. And make sure everything's connected there. Seat's connected. And then, yeah, we got to get this connected to a router, so we'll just flip this up over here. So it's in the network. And do this one here. This would be pretty interesting if the cables could not go through each other. We need like we need local Wi-Fi on. That'd be interesting. I guess technically you could do it with a beacon. And we'll connect those there. And we got to wire all this stuff up here. And some more high-speed wiring. So we have to connect up all those sensors and the bridges and the actual pivot, and cross-connect all these to here, to there, to the back, and then we need to, since we only have high voltage, we need to convert this to low voltage off the main batteries. Connect that to up there. I had to cross connect all these. Strange as it may sound, I actually start running out of high voltage connectors because I am going to connect the batteries directly to the wheels so I can take advantage of regen. And while it's not much now, you never know, it might be improved upon later on. Yeah, I wish regen had a lot more oomph, a lot more braking power, and a lot more returning of energy. Basically, it should be controllable instead of being like, regen is on and off. It should be percentage. So, if it's 1, it's full braking regen effect. If it's like 0.5, then it's half braking. So you can just kind of slow down like that. And then we break that out here. We cable this over here. Obviously, the prop we're not going to bother with regen on the prop, so actually they don't support regen, so that wouldn't even work. And we're going to mirror the same thing over here. Run all the way down, connected here. So now, I think this is definitely a lot faster than trying to run all this stuff in the walls. And also, if I did X and put it in the wall, I wouldn't be able to see it. So if I want to trace lines or take things apart, it makes it a lot more difficult. This way, I kind of see all the cabling. And then once I put a top on it, or the floor on this, upper floor on this, it's all going to be hidden away. And if I want to get back to the cabling and make some changes, I can just pop the top off, upper floor off, and then recable that back through there. Yeah, we still got to cable that prop. Let's go around. And to the bridge. And zip over here, and I should probably pull that blocks off, make it a little easier to get access to everything. And it goes directly to the wheel, and probably should put those on separate batteries. And to there. And this goes around in this pile rat nest. Around and around and around. Up there. Okay. So the props have got power, the wheels got power, we have data connections like to everything. But we need to load balance our batteries. And some more power converters. Why not? Also, I need to put on a bridge so I can plug in for charging too. Gotta look at my cabling here. Let's just. So I need to cross the batteries so I can load balance everything on basically for charging, and then we'll run this over here, and we'll run this one. Duplicate this here to here. And I have to run the line from one side to the other. Up and goes up to there. And you might be noticing I only build high voltage batteries. I don't bother with low voltage batteries. Finally pull that cover off to see what empty ports I have left available, because I need to also have a connection on each side for I want to put a bridge on each side for charging so I can charge from either side of the vehicle. So let's just pull off this piece and we'll sort of put it in more or less the center. And I don't have any connections on this side. Something I want to do. I think I'm going to go ahead and pull off that, pop that off there. Okay, so that frees up that, and then we can put the power converter either side of this because we have extra ports on the high power junctions on fore and aft. Now, if I didn't care about region, that would be a little easier for cabling. And I'm just making sure no cables are running across the bottom. And we'll pop this one off too. Right, so we end up with one extra port. Pop that there. And we'll drop our converter over here somewhere. Probably in the middle there. Let's match this over here. Figure I makes each the same. Pop, pop. This goes up here. This goes over here. And a little cleaner. And we'll just running a whole bunch of low power wires, so we'll just kind of speed this up a little bit. We're just going to connect this to here, to here, to here. Make sure everything's connected. Everyone's got power. A lot of stuff in here. And these other routers don't, in theory, require power. And need to get all this up here powered up too, all those sensors. Not the sensors, but the pivot and the scanners will need power. And we'll speed this little fragment up here. Just get everything powered up, hopefully. Yeah, we'll do the same thing here. We'll just tag off a converter. And we'll hook it up to the up to the low power, and then from there we can cable all the little bits and pieces together. Because we need to, obviously the prop itself is on high voltage, but the hinge itself needs to be on low voltage. I'm kind of looking around. Oh yeah, I need to plug that thing in too. So and we'll need data cables on the drill and anchor. Now, those little mini routers are getting filled up there. Yeah, I'm going to move that up a little bit. Yeah, so it's not dragging on the ground. So we have the drill connected to one mini router on one side and the anchor connected to the other, try to keep it somewhat balanced. And we have to connect up the hinge. So the hinge has power. Actually, we have the pivot and the hinge. So the pivot goes to the anchor, and the hinge is directly connected. And right there. Yeah, I was thinking the drill and anchor combo, if that was mounted sort of on a platform that can raise and lower, that'd be kind of interesting. Kind of lower the whole thing down, get more a little more reach in there. We're not going to do that in this build, but I thought about something in some future build if the height became a little too much. Be more stuff to wire up. Wow, what a mess. Looking around, see if I missed any wiring or anything. So the other things I need to do that next episode. I need to put a HUD controller. I'll wire that up. That's so I can render stuff on the screen. Now the advantage of the HUD controller is because it renders in 2D. You know, on after you basically have the 2D graphics, like for example the help text you see in the upper right, that's 2D graphics layered on top of the 3D. So the HUD's the same way. It's a 2D image laid on top of the 3D. So it's a very low performance impact. And I may start putting more stuff on the HUD there versus using a screen. Now the downside, of course, if no matter where you look, you're going to see the HUD information. And what I'll do is I'll set it up so it only comes on when you're sitting down. So, which I have a little demo of that in one of my videos. Also, I need to put the navigation unit in here too. Put that somewhere. And then we need to get this thing hooked up, so we are, as we have that stuff powered on, we're starting to drain just a fraction. So we'll get this hooked up. And oh, nope, don't want to plug it there. Yeah, see that's a bug. There's no input going into that high power junction. So I'll rip that out and plug that to, ran out of ports. So if we remove this one over here, probably could just put another high power junction in there. Okay, so that's connected directly, so that was a bug there. And then we connect that to there, and in theory we're charging now. Yep, we see charging. We're charging and slowly discharging. Well, we're charging way faster than discharging because we now have the computers all wired up, and so and the mini routers consume power. So we're just making sure all the batteries are reporting the same type of state, so we know they're all cross-connected correctly. All right, so that's all for this episode. In the next episode, I need to make some hard drives here. I'll start writing some code. So we'll go into a coding sequence. I might add a few components, but mostly coding in the next episode. So, and the first thing to do, we'll get this thing moving and on land. And then we'll probably move on to getting the ore scanner up and running. I'm going to do a much simpler version of the ore scanner this time. I'm not going to try to add too much gravy. I'm going to just see how simple I can get it and be functional. Also speed up the spin rate or the detection rate. It won't have as long as range, but it for like getting something once you get close to it, it'll be more useful. So we'll do that. And so until next time, see ya.